I don't know how to start this video actually. Let's start by the fact that I want to say a big thank you to Nomad Cosmetics, because this is the first time, first of all, that I'm getting PR from Nomad Cosmetics in general, but the first time that I'm getting a PR package that I am not even allowed to share before the official release date, that I am allowed to play with before the reveal was happening. I'm thrilled. I'm beyond thrilled, and I want to warn you, I am a tad bit biased because of this. I'm not biased because this is a PR palette. I am biased and I'm like excited. I have so much excitement in my heart right now because I feel like this is a really big accomplishment for me. This is the new Nomad Cosmetics Keys Beachy and Peachy palette. Their new summer palette that today was revealed. The official launch date of this is Tuesday, June 25th, and from that date on you can purchase this palette. I don't really know if there is a price already up. I'm just looking at the Nomad post, but it isn't. So I assume it will be $49 as per usual, or around, I think 52 or 50 euro when you buy in the EU. If you want to buy in the EU from Nomad Cosmetics, you can now very easy, because they have a warehouse now in Ireland. So you have very easy and fast shipping and no customs or taxes when you purchase from Nomad. The outside is already very colorful, very bright. My eyes are very bright and colorful. And yes, I'm wearing a peach look. What's happening? I have no clue. Let's take a peek inside. Of course, mine is already a bit butchered because I did the first look, I did the swatches. Very interesting color story. To me, this palette has two sides. So when I cover this one, you have a super light, sunny, pastel, I don't know, I actually think of key lime cake when I see the shade and everything. I just think of a lime cake. And then you have this more darker, like ocean sunsetty side. And overall, to me, at first glance, this palette looked very busy. I had a bit of trouble to get inspired, but once I started using it, and the more I looked at it also, the more I saw the combination, the methods of this. In this video, I will deliver you only 2 looks. If you want to see more looks, please let me know down in the comments below so that I can just give you maybe another video with this palette that has maybe 3 more looks. In general, this palette is very much out of my personal comfort zone because of the neons, the brights, the peaches. But as you see with the first look, it's workable. So I'm very curious how future me will do the second look and how the outro will sound, you know? But I love a good challenge. Not everything has to be super gothic-y, although this is my preferred makeup vibe at the moment. So let's take a look here at the swatches. I'm sorry the swatches are not the very best, but I also have to say these did not swatch very good. They felt a bit dry. The shimmers felt a bit squishy, but at the same time they fell apart when I touched them. So this is weird a bit. But honestly, I prefer this so much over the older Nomad formulation. If you remember, like the Santa's Village one, Romeo and Juliet has the same formulation. The shimmers in those ones were pressed so freaking hard that you had no color payoff. In the Whistler Snow Lodge, there was already a new shimmer formulation, and they just completely changed the shimmers in general since the Ghost Town palette last year, and that one was a true banger. I do not talk about the Royal Europe because that was the first time they did multi-chromes or duochrome shades, and these are very different from the other formulations in general. But when you are thinking of plain shimmers, this is just the same amazing good quality as in the Ghost Town one. I absolutely adore this. Maybe you can even see that with some of these, they look like there's fallout, like shimmer fallout, but it's not really fallouty. They just are, yeah, kind of in between being squishy and being too loose and not having enough binding pigment. It's really weird, but with a glitter glue, you see it it works. It is workable and it looks good. So what do I want more? If you remember last year's summer's palette, not only from Nomad Cosmetics with the Okavango, I'm pretty sure that this is wrong. This was a dirty green desert palette like Natasha Denona Yaka. This was last year's summer theme. This year's summer theme here is bright, is colorful, is like glowing. And honestly, I love that. Although, deep in my heart, I'm a glowing gothic-y, but I love the theme too. So as I said, 2 looks in this video. This is look number 1 that you will see in a minute, and then you get a second one that I am in my head. I want to do something completely different to that, maybe with the greens, with the lime greens. I don't know what future me is doing, so who knows? I will be as surprised probably then as you will be. So I do not have a code with Nomad. If you want to buy this palette, your favorite content creator probably has a code somewhere. Like, I don't know, just look it up. There are so many creators who have codes with Nomad. I don't at this point. I just got the palette in PR to talk about it. Although they said that I don't have to talk about it, but it would be dumb if I didn't, wouldn't it? So let's head over now to look number 1. So for the first look, I want to do something very much out of my comfort zone with the peaches. You know, I hate peaches, but I have high hopes here. I'm starting with the shade Isla Morada. Please, to the people who live in the Keys, do not now kill me because I butcher these names of maybe special places or so. But I used this shade in the transition area. This is a very, very, very light peach, and this will definitely help a lot with blending, or when you use one of the more darker shades to blend them out and to soften them a bit more. It's also quite a brightening shade. I like that. I now go into Shipwreck Trail, and that one goes directly into the crease. I feel like with this other shade underneath for the transition area, this turns into a neon, and I don't know how I feel about this. On a smaller brush, I now go into Key West, and that one I apply here on the outer V area and also bring it into the crease. I went in a bit too heavy here on the eye, so I try to buff it out, but it does not really matter because everything comes together with the process of blending. So I just go over everything now with the brush. I had the Shipwreck shade on, but I do not have additional product on it. I just want to buff out a bit. I'm now back into Key West, and I'm deepening up the outer crease here. This combo of colors requires a bit of work and blending because they are so far away from each other. They are like complementary shades, so they do need just a bit of patience and work. But I kind of like the result from that peach to blue. Wow. I applied now my glitter glue, and I go into the shade Come As You Are, and that one I apply here on the outer part on top of the blue shade, and I apply it to the center of the lid. I went a bit above the center on the left eye, so of course I have to go above the center on the right eye too. That happens, no problem. I now go into the shade Rum Runner. That's, by the way, a hilarious name. Is that a cocktail? I'm not so into cocktail or alcohol. I know beer, I know wine, I know vodka. Sorry. But this shade here now goes on the rest of the lid. I draw a line to the crease, so we have a fake cut crease situation. But I'm not mixing up the 2 shades, the Rum Runner and the blue one. That one I do when I'm done with the other eye. So I applied now the shade on both eyes. I went back into Rum Runner, and now I just start tapping here where the blue starts, and I am basically just wiping my brush here across this line so that I create a gradient to the blue. I take a bit of Shipwreck again, and I just build up that crease color here. Below lash line, I'm applying the ColourPop BFF Cream Liner in the shade Punch, a nice bright yellow. And I line my waterline with this. As all peachy looks, this is so far out of my comfort zone, I can't even see it anymore. I'm tapping into Key West again. Smudge that shade here across the waterline, but only to the center. And I wiped off the brush on a dry towel because I used the same one to now go into Sunset Celebration. And that one I apply on the rest of the lower lash line and flick it above that Key West shade to have a gradient. You know I love my gradients. Next up I go into Key Largo, and that one is going to be my inner corner highlight. This is now the first finished look. On the lips I'm wearing the Sephora lip stain liner in the shade 70 First Date, and I topped it off with the Dior lip oil in pink. I cannot believe I'm saying this about a peach look, but I fucking love it. I feel like I am a sunset. I don't know, it's not a typical sunset eye, definitely not. But it feels sunsetty. What's happening right now? I'm a golden girl? I love a peach look? Tell me. What's changing at the moment? So, before I ramble too much about this very first look, let's head over to look number 2. For look number 2, I do have an idea, but let's see how it's going. I'm starting with Key Lime Time here, and this one goes directly in the crease, but just on that inner part here. By the way, this is like one layer of color. With those more neon-y, pastel-y, white-based tones, you usually have to build them up a bit, but this one is just banging it after the first swipe. Next up, I go into Close to Perfect. And that one I start to apply here in the center of the lid. And I'm also bringing it outwards. And then I just mush it here a bit together. Next up I go into Sea Meets Sky. And that one I just rub here on the outer part. Bringing it slightly up. And then also in the crease. I hope this comes out as cool as it looks in my head. Because now that I applied my glitter glue, I go into the shade Southernmost Point. And I start to apply this here on the inner crease part. Again, doing a like kind of half cut crease style. And I apply this up to the center. I now go into Paradise Found. That one I apply here on top of that blue in the outer part. And I left a tiny bit bare because as if this look is not crazy enough, I now go into Dry Tortugas. And I use this shade to fill this line in. It looks crazy right now, but trust the process. Because I now just use the brush that I used the blue shade with, and I start to mix here this line together. I don't have additional pigment on it, but I might tap back in a second. I'm not 100% happy with the tone here. I feel like it is a bit misplaced. So what I do is I take that, what was it? Southernmost Point. And I just slightly brush over that shade. I don't want to cover it completely. I just want to give it a more matching vibe. And it worked. Look at the difference between this and this eye. There is definitely a veil of this other mint shade on top, but the gold is still coming through. For the lower lash line, I'm now applying a waterliner. This is the Icebreaker one from Colourpop in the cream BFF cream gel liner. And I line my waterline with that. I tap into Sea Meets Sky again. And that one I use here on the lower lash line, but this time all the way up to the center. I now go into Overseas Highway and I use this to blend it out quite far down. For the inner corner highlight, I want to give you two options this time with this look. So first, let's do the shade Sunset Salute. This is a very, very light neon yellow. I apply this here. That is a vibe, that is a look. Very beachy, very sunny. But of course, I will not do only matte inner corner. I also now tap into Conch Republic and I layer this here on top, but just in the most inner crease part, inner corner part, so that we still have like this halo-ish going on from that matte yellow. And this is now the finished look. For the lips, I'm wearing the Charlotte Tilbury lip cheat in the shade Icon Nude, and I filled that in with the the MAC Maximal lipstick from the Viva line in the shade Viva Planet. One of the most beautiful nude lip colors I have tried in years. So this look just, I wasn't able to put on something dark or too colorful because the eyes are already very, very loud. So let's tone it down a bit on the lips. Honestly, I feel like a mermaid with this look. I feel like a magical ocean being that is just now hopping onto the beach and is living their life because for only one day I have 2 legs and I then after that day have to get back into the sea and live on my mermaid fish life. In the intro I said that this palette is very much out of my comfort zone because of these super intense brights, the peaches. It's like nothing as my usual style of makeup that I'm wearing recently, but I love a good challenge, and honestly, I am happy with both looks. If I had to rank the looks, I actually like the one that I did first more with the peach and blue. That just looks amazing. But this look here this has something too. I was afraid for a moment that this might look a bit too clownish, but actually, I don't think it does. I think this palette has potential for more looks. Like for example, something that centers around this purple, where you do something more in the monochromatic vibe between the blues and the purples, and maybe add in a tad bit of gold for a pop of color. I also see something with the yellows and the peaches and the red to have like an ice cream cone. I don't know why I think of ice cream when I talk about these shades, but that was my initial thought. So, well, at the end, I have to say, although this is a palette I would not have picked up myself because of this color story, I was surprised in a positive way. I think these shades do, although they seem to be very busy, work together very, very well. But you are required to step a bit out of your comfort zone if you want to stay in this palette. I could easily have pulled in a neutral palette with some blending shades, you know, add some blacks, some browns, something, I don't know, like not maybe a corally intense red like this, maybe a dark oxblood red to give some depth, but I wanted to stay in this palette and not put anything else in the mix here. Quality wise, I'm a big fan that they revamped their shimmer formulation. It is amazing. I really enjoy this new formula that we have since the Ghost Town. It's the same good one here. They're not hard pressed at all. You have good pigment, you have color payoff. Absolutely stunning. The swatches, I said in the intro, they swatched very, very poor, but as always, swatches do not tell the whole story. Wait till you have the application on the eyes. And the blending process with the mattes was incredibly easy. I don't think when I think of my own style that this is a palette where when I now sit down next week, get ready for work, be like, oh, let's use this one from Nomad again. Definitely not, but if I was forced to use it, if I maybe even set myself a goal of having to use each pan at least 3 times throughout the year, I will definitely not get a problem because this is, as I said, much out of my usual comfort zone because of the lack of gothicness here in this palette. But it's a good out of my comfort zone. I enjoy this challenge and I enjoyed stepping out of my maybe very stiff vibe that I usually wear. I love it. The look that I did in the video before this one, I wore to work even, and I got compliments at work. A colleague was like, oh my God, your eyes look amazing. This is so bright and so not you. I felt very good with this. So this one sadly will not be worn in the workplace, but just you can see it. So tell me, which one was your favorite? When we criticize a palette like this from a brand like Nomad Cosmetics, we always have to consider the topic. Nomad Cosmetics is always focusing on like destination makeup. So of course, when you think of Florida Keys, I never was there, but I just have these pictures in my mind that I know from media, maybe from TV shows, from movies, whatever. This, I think, nailed the vibe that I have here inside me when I think of the Florida Keys. That is exactly what I see, and I think that a dark oxblood red or a dark, I don't know, like maybe even a warm tone dark brown or even a black would just not fit into this palette. It would look a bit misplaced, honestly. So again, I am happy with these colors. I am happy with the color story. I'm happy with the topic, and I love, you see on the outside what you have to expect on the inside. Absolutely amazing. I do not have a discount code with them, as I already told you, so there is like no affiliation behind this. I was just sent this in PR to test it and to be a very, very happy content creator for this incredibly accomplishment. So thank you to Nomad Cosmetics for giving me the chance. Thanks to you that you are watching this video. Thank you for your support and for subscribing to me, because without you being subscribed to this channel, Nomad Cosmetics probably would have said like, well, why should we send you stuff? Nobody's watching your videos. But you are the reason I can finally accomplish teeny tiny goals in the PR world, in the affiliate world, in the world of being a content creator. So thank you so much for your support and love. I love you all very, very much, and I'm very, very thankful. You have no idea. Make sure, of course, you're subscribed. If you want to see more looks with this palette, let me please know down below. I can totally do this. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week after that, but then in a couple weeks, because if I do more looks, I have to plan them out since I do them always before I head to work. So if I have to do 3 looks, it takes 3 days of filming for me. Just a little explanation here. If you don't know what to comment, comment Florida Keys. And yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.